And I want to say thank you for joining us again.
Thank you for the opportunity again.
I know you're very busy. We have a fly here on set today, so if you see me doing some hand gestures, it's not Tourette's. No offense to anyone with Tourette's. It's just one of those things where we have a little bit of a nuisance here.
We have a studio audience.
That's right. That's right. It's somebody wanting to be a fly on the face instead of on the wall and see what's going on today. So anyway, today I want to ask you a couple of questions and get your thoughts on this. And direction is, you know, whenever someone is wanting to change something in their life, William, many times there is resistance, but you have a different go of this, of saying maybe we ought to have curiosity. And you know, if you don't know William is a guy who, and I'm going to put this on camera, I've not seen anything he can't do, and if he can't do it, he'll figure out how to do it. And I want you to talk about how curiosity plays into that and really help us and the viewers of what that does in a life of expansion.
All right, thank you. Well, previous episodes, Lori, Reverend Rebecca, Dale, they talk about prayer and affirmative prayer and praying about what you want to experience. Part of that is a great starting point, putting out the thought that eventually becomes a thing. I want to talk about the curiosity of life. For me, I'm all about where the rubber hits the road. Talking about this stuff, talking about spirituality, that's all well and good, but how do I actually make it happen? And in thinking about that, it's really curiosity. Where I am today in my business, actually being a business owner, it started off with the simple curiosity of hearing a sound off in the distance and then wanting to find out what that was. Through that curiosity, it opened up avenues in my life to where I was open and receptive, saying yes to the universe. I can do that, or I can accomplish this. I may not know how, but I'm going to find out. And so that's what I really want to talk to you today about, is being open to that curiosity part in your brain.
Well, you know, William, I think we all have these level of level of comfort. And it's, you know, you can imagine, we've all seen those circles that says, you know, here's our comfort zone, but then there's a dot way out here. This is where the magic happens, when it's outside our comfort zone. And I've been in this situation, you may have, prior to meeting Elizabeth, is you had a comfort zone, and if someone asked you to do something, it was almost like we went through this real quick mind thing of saying, that's outside my comfort zone, no thank you. You know, and now it's one of those things, I'm not sure if you even have a comfort zone. Yours is whatever it is, right? How do we start making decisions to be curious and have that trust and understanding and faith that, you know what, let's move outside that comfort zone, because that's where we'll grow. How do we do that? How did you do that?
That is a great question. And that is where this philosophy really played a key part in my life, where I came up with the courage to go outside that comfort zone. And the biggest thing was that I learned from this philosophy is that the universe is always supporting me. It is not against me. It's not the universe against me or the universe against you. You are a part of that, and it is always there to support you. So if you can view life from that standpoint, you will find that that curiosity or that drive within yourself will allow you to step outside your comfort zone, because you know the universe is there to support and help you accomplish what it is you're thinking about.
Well, you know, whenever we have something, let's say for instance, somebody is watching and they have a job that they know there's more to life than that particular job, and they have an opportunity to do something else, but it's going to take a change. It's going to change a location where they're used to going to work. It's going to maybe change their hours, but they'll get benefits of maybe higher pay, better work hours, more opportunities to use their skill sets or be creative. But yet sometimes they're held back. It's almost like an anchor harboring a ship in a ship that can't move. It has all it needs. It has the sails, it has the hull, it has the people to guide the ship, but it's anchored down. And I think sometimes that anchored down is our comfort zone.
Mm-hmm.
And so they'll avoid doing that. How do we get past that? How do we get past that being anchored into our old ways? Because we always know if we keep thinking the same way, we'll keep getting the same results. So
Right.
how do we start changing that, William? It's like knowing that if I keep doing what I've always done, I'm going to keep getting what I've always gotten, even though I don't like that.
Right. That's a great question. There's a book that I'm reading now called The Telomere Effect. And it's about your DNA have little caps at the end of your DNA strands called telomeres. And they have found that the length of those caps, which is basically essentially like if you have a shoelace, like your tennis shoes, and that plastic ring that keeps the shoelace from fraying, that little cap is representation of what telomeres are. And as we get older, or as life happens, those can either be shorter or longer compared to other people. And those telomeres can fluctuate depending upon our mood and our thoughts, by what we eat and what we think. And I've totally lost where I've gone with that. That's
Well, it reminds me.
Buckle up, Buttercup. Here we go.
Well, it reminds me of in maybe not in that book, but in the telomere story, they took a group of men. They were older men
Mm-hmm.
and senior men, and they took them to a monastery. And in that monastery, they actually recreated what it was like for them 20 years when they were 20 years younger.
Mm-hmm.
And they spent the weekend there. But what they did is they measured their telomeres prior to going, and they measured their physiological age, their range of motion, things like that.
Right.
And all they did was they recreated what they had when they were 20 years younger. And what they found when they retested them, that everyone in that test group, with no medication, no drugs, no nothing, that they were actually 20 years younger. They recovered some of that. So when you say it can be just the way we think, that is powerful, because that telomere really is, that's the life cycle of that cell.
Yes, exactly.
So as it's longer, that means our life, that cell life, is longer. As
Right.
it gets shorter, and the idea is obviously we want to make it as long as possible.
Exactly.
And with a healthy mental mindset, the chances of that telomere remaining longer is greater. Yes.
Yeah, exactly. And that's where the curiosity comes into play. If you retract from life, you're constricting yourself. You're not being in the flow, the natural flow of energy. What Reverend Rebecca was talking about in one of the episodes is that the curiosity allows you to be opened up, allows that energy to flow from you out into the universe, which then, because of the curiosity, it keeps you younger, it keeps you active. You're thinking about not what you can't do, you're thinking about what I want to do and what I'm going to do. And that is the secret of an expansive life.
How did you? Let's take back to you, because you mentioned before we went on camera, when you were younger as a child, if something needed to happen, and you used the example of a bicycle tire. If a bicycle tire needed to be fixed, you didn't know how to fix it. You know who to take it to get it fixed. Now you're the type of person that you're that person we go to. If we say, hey, William, that light up there's not working, and William can fix it. Or the sound isn't working here, William can fix it. Okay, the air conditioner not working, William can fix it. How did you become that curious person to even discover how that worked? Because we've always heard that saying is curiosity killed the cat. But what it did is it seemed to expand your life.
Yeah, that is true. Curiosity definitely expanded my life, and And that's just a wrong saying. Curiosity killed the cat. That's exactly what I am talking about. You're taking on the belief of something that someone has said in the past, and you've bought into that. But that is not the truth of who you are. It's not the truth of who I am. It's not the truth of who you are. You are a spiritual being having a human experience. And the way you get from where you are now to where you want to be is as simple as taking one step at a time. The journey that Jeff was just talking to you about where I was, where I couldn't change or didn't know how to change a bicycle tire, to where now I'm the go-to guy, that didn't happen in just a year. That was 10, 12 years worth of experiences. But each part was just one little building block to the next. It's like Legos. You know, when I was a kid, I liked Legos, and now I'm seeing that there's these Lego kits that you can, you know, build the Millennium Falcon now. But each block is still the same block that I used to use when I was a kid. But it's following the directions and taking it one little step at a time, one little piece at a time, and eventually you will create this life, this expansive life, that at the moment when you were praying, you didn't know how to get from A to Z. And that's all well and good. You don't have to know how to get to A to Z. You just know that Z is where you want to be, and then you just go A, B, C. Allow the universe, again, to open up those opportunities of avenues that can get you from point A to point Z. But again, it's the curiosity of allowing life to be an adventure, and you're the explorer of your own life.
One thing I notice nowadays, and it was probably the same when we were younger, William, is there is a level of impatience. You know, we want things right now. And I heard something this morning I thought was very interesting, is there's someone on the internet that I follow, and he's very well respected in the business community, and he said oftentimes, he said, people will come to him, and let's say younger people, 20, 30, 20, 25 years old, and they'll explain where they want to go, and he'll say, you know, 1 out of 100, he'll say, that's a great idea. He said, I can see this coming to fruition, and it's, you know, really, really doing well in about a 5 to 7 year period. And he said he sees this disappointment in their eyes. And he's like, what's the matter? And they're expecting overnight success, because we see that all the time on the internet. We think that overnight success is truly, hey, you had an idea and tomorrow you're a millionaire. Right? And it's not that way. There is a process called the law of the harvest. Would you mind talking about that a little bit, about what that means, just in layman terms, law of the harvest?
Law of the harvest, it is exactly what it sounds like. I can't plant a corn seed and expect the very next day I'm going to have a stalk full of corn that I can harvest. There's a natural progression, an order to how life unfolds, that it does take time. It's funny, as you were talking about this example, I'm thinking about my grandparents or my parents. You know, oh, you gotta spend 20, 30 years, and you gotta be with this company, and then you can get vested, and then you have retirement. And so that was the old school back then, that you had to spend all this time and energy before you reap some sort of benefit. But yet my kids and the newer generation have Instagram, Insta everything, you know, Insta coffee, you know, apps on your phone that let you know when Krispy Kreme donuts are hot. You know, it's a world of instant gratification. But realistically, the universe works on a law of averages. It's right there in the middle. It's right there at the balance. And that is where we need to be. We need to allow the universe to unfold have the patience to allow it to unfold, because that one adds value to what you then reap, but it also gives you the wisdom to then take that and build upon that, because what you're thinking that you want today isn't the end of your life. It's just the next building block to that next adventure. And by taking that goal or that reward and savoring it and honoring yourself for the journey it took to receive that benefit, it now gives you that much more energy, confidence to now expand your life to that next greater thing.
You know, William, you mentioned about the Legos, and it made me think of like how many times people won't try something because they fear failure. And I want you to take us back, take back to the point where you're building with Legos. How many times did you try something, didn't work, and you disassembled it or tried it a different configuration before you said, oh, that's what I was looking for? And we live in such a, as you say, insta world that we put out there that, oh, we're going to have this kind of car, and if we don't, it's like this massive self-judgment and persecution. How can we get past that? How can we get past that and realize failure is nothing more than one of those Legos? We're putting them together. That's the building blocks of success, whatever that is, whether it's a relationship, it's a business, it's health, whatever it is. The failure is not a bad thing.
Right. Yes, failure is not a bad thing. But part of your question was self-worth. Because you're not receiving your good the way you think, or at the time that you think you should, you may start thinking less than yourself. And that's where my spiritual practice comes into play. That regardless about the materialistic portion of my life of what I have or what I've attained compared to my neighbor down the street, that isn't who I am, and that's not who you are. There's a power inside of you, and we talk about it. It's the universe, it's that energy, it's that spark, whatever you want to call it. I don't care what you call it, but there's an intrinsic value within yourself, and you have to find that within yourself, because all that stuff, that materialistic stuff, is just gravy. You yourself are the main course. You must and can see the value in yourself by seeing a practitioner such as myself, or calling the center. We will get you in contact with practitioners to help you unearth or reveal the truth of who you spiritually are, so that then you have the confidence, the curiosity to take on life, and not to retract and think that life is against you, because it's not. But it all starts in here.
William, we've been talking about curiosity today, but at the same time, you've peeled back and said, hey, it takes a self-awareness and realizing that you can do this without self-judgment. That self-judgment almost acts as an anchor and almost like a block for you to move forward. And it's almost like, I think about visually, life is like driving across the country at night with your headlights on. You just keep going because you know out there is where you want to go. But if you turn those headlights off, the chances of you moving forward are very limited because you can't see what's out there. To me, it seems like curiosity is a metaphor for the headlights.
Yes.
And I think you've really kind of opened that up for a lot of us today, of saying, wait a second, If you want your life, your car to move forward in life, you have to turn on the headlights of curiosity and say, let me find out what that is. Let me find out if I can change that bicycle tire. Let me find out if I can make that Lego. What you call it? The Millennium? What do you call it?
The Millennium Falcon.
Yeah, obviously I don't know what that is.
Star Wars.
Okay, there we go. And so without that, but you've learned a tremendous amount in your lifetime. Just since I've known you, last 10 or 12 years, you've come a long ways. I mean, because before, I knew you only as a guy up there that did the sound. Now you're doing talks. Now you're on this show. You know, you make some beautiful art with your sandblasting. But not only that, I mean, it's amazing. But that all came from making sure you put your headlights probably on high beam, right?
Oh yeah, definitely. It's always the curiosity. It really is. To me, there's not just one thing that makes your life work or makes your life better. Whether it's curiosity, whether it's prayer work, it's a culmination of everything. The car that you drive, you think of it as one piece. You get in your car, you drive down the road, you have your high beams on, and you're able to go. But that car is made up of thousands and thousands of pieces for it to work. That's exactly the way that your life is. It's not just one magic bean that's going to make your life become what you want it to be. It's all these little ingredients that you put into the soup to create the flavor, which is your life. And the analogy that you were talking about, the headlights and driving the car at night, as you're driving down the road, those headlights, you see the main road going out there, but every so often you see these little dirt roads going off to the side. Don't be afraid to not take those. Every once in a while, see where that dirt road leads. That is spirit, again, knocking at your door to where you think you were wanting to go down this road, but by allowing the curiosity of what's happening over here, allowing you to change your direction, opens you up to new avenues. Your life could be bigger and better than you could have imagined.
William, I think, first of all, you've made me more curious and realize that, you know, there are probably more things I could do. I could shine my light a little differently, and I could take some of those side roads as you described, which is a perfect metaphor for life. And you've really opened up some doors for us today. I want to thank you for that.
Thank you for the opportunity.
Any last thoughts for those people watching about the curiosity that we haven't talked about? If there's not, that's okay, before we sign off today.
If anything that I've said to you today has sparked that interest, that curiosity, please join us on Sundays. Right now, we have only one service at 10 a.m. But starting in October, we'll be going to 2 services, 9 and 11. Please join us. We have the energy here to create excitement in your life, to show you that you are very valuable and that life is conspiring to expand. So please join us on Sundays here at Center for Spiritual Living in Palm Desert at Portola and Chicory.
Cool. Or Chicory or Shadow Mountain?
Or Shadow Mountain as well, too.
Okay.
It's both.
I'm like Chicory.
Offices on Chicory.
Gotcha. Okay. Hey, and if you can't be here live, join us on live stream at cslpalmdesert.org, cslpalmdesert.org. Sorry, it's a fly that I warned us about at the very beginning. Anyway, William, thank you so much.
Thank you. And thank you.
My name is Jeff Harrison.
I'm William Conway.
And thanks for joining us for
Spirituality Uncorked.